my first experience with Reynolds was as an elementary school kid. There was an art contest, and I submitted art, and my artwork was displayed at the downtown campus. Because I remember getting excited, thinking somehow I was going to become this big-time artist because my whatever I drew was there. And I actually thought about that recently. When I went to Reynolds, I was about, I want to say about 19 years old. At that time, I had been out of high school for about 3 years. I had my daughter at 16 and went to work because I was not able to attend high school and work at the same time. It was always my intention to go to school long before her, but with having a child, my main priority became taking care of her, and education went on the back burner, but not off the table, because I knew that it was what I needed to get to where I need to go. Now, before, I give the impression that, I had this cadre of people saying, yes, you got to get this education. I did not have that. It was just something that I held on to. I was fortunate to have teachers in the Richmond public school system that really invested in me and just told me, this is what you need to do. And Reynolds was part of the community. I remember that name. I remember hearing about Mr. Reynolds. And that's just what I remember, Reynolds. When I went, I remember sitting in the auditorium. I did not know what I was doing. I didn't know about classes. I didn't. And a story from that time was, and this is funny now, it was not funny then, it wasn't. I signed up for classes, and I remember there were other classes I wanted. So what I did, I signed up for them too. Well, that first semester, I got my grades. I had 4 A's and 4 F's, because I did not know that you had to come out of the classes that you weren't going to take. Now, now it's a funny story, but I use that as an example of why advising is so important as well, particularly for students who come from communities without folks and supports to teach them things. Now where I am, I'm moving ahead a little bit. I've recently gotten my master's in education. I have designs on a doctorate degree. But here's the thing, I'm always going to be somebody who comes from a place where I didn't know you're supposed to drop these classes, if you don't want to take them. So that means I'm always going to go in that way. I think a lot of times when students come in, when you're already in those communities, or you have the privilege, because it is a privilege to grow up in a community or a family or an environment, however you want to call it, a school system, that has access to resources and people, that has this information, the knowledge that you take for granted, and maybe not in a bad way, but you don't think about it. You don't think about what it's like to know. Like, I have this tagline, how do you know what you don't know? How do you know what you don't know? So for folks who don't, it's important to have people like me who have gotten the F's, who have sat in their first class back at VCU. I didn't know that MLA was a way that you cite, and thought it was a rapper and wonder, why are they talking about that? I mean, I've had a lot of experiences like that, but I take them as learning opportunities and I use them. So back to Reynolds. What I remember about being at Reynolds as a single mother, young single mother, I remember the support of the staff and the faculty. Actalissa Guilfoyle, remember that name. She was my English professor. I loved her. She was wonderful. I worked in the Student Support Center. And it's interesting, and I've been thinking about this a lot when I've been thinking about doing this interview. As much as I had to work, for some semesters I had to work 3 jobs. Some semesters I was on Dean's List. Some semesters I was failing because I was juggling a lot. I still got involved, and I remember one of the most important things I remember was when I transferred to VCU, feeling really disconnected because I'd had so much love, if you will, at Reynolds. That there are people, you start to dig, they wouldn't be where they are with where they started. I know a man right now who's president of a community college system in Massachusetts who started in a community college. And so it also goes back to what we think about what it means to have education. So Reynolds is, along with all the community colleges in Virginia, it is one of our greatest and best resources. And I feel especially, I don't even know the word to give you. Reynolds invested in me and he gave me something that I was able to build on. So I was able to get to VCU and eventually come back and keep persevering to where I am now. And so now when I'm there in my position as a rep coach and I'm talking to students and they're saying, I had some problems, I had to do a SAP. I'm pretty sure there's nothing they can say that I don't know about. I feel honored to be able to be that person who was at Reynolds for me saying, Glynis, you can do this, you can get through this, or Glynis, this is not going to work. Or hopefully be the one to say, don't ignore this math. You need to do this math, and this is how we're going to get through it. So I'm really happy to be that person. It's a great way to serve the greater good, which really ultimately I think is the goal of education. So just to share a little bit about the influence of Reynolds on my family, my husband, Gary Christopher Hughes Sr., graduated from Reynolds last month. Yes, it was still June. He graduated last month with his associate in liberal arts. We're very excited about that. And he is transferred officially to VCU. He'll be starting in August. And it was a thing where, I gotta say this. And he had Professor Guilfoyle that I mentioned earlier in the interview. He actually had Professor Guilfoyle. And at one point in the class, he mentioned my name. And she remembered me, and it made her very happy. Talk about full circle, right? I graduated from Merrimack College with my master's in higher education, leadership, policy, and organizational management, and also a post-baccalaureate certificate from VCU in disability leadership. So I came on board to Reynolds as a Rev coach at the end of March, and the Rev program now is pretty much picking up what started in last year, which basically Rev came about to support Virginians that were impacted employment-wise by COVID. We basically work with folks to help basically get them upskilled. They can come in and get training that will get them into better paying jobs, or hopefully maybe a whole new job, if that can happen. Now, there's also G3, which goes into effect next week. Now, we have also been giving support to students who have shown interest in that program. The way I've looked at it is Rev, which provides basically, in a nutshell, funding for a semester, is something that can get you started if you meet the qualifications for that program. G3 has its own qualifications, and if you meet those, it can continue the path that you may have started with Rev. Or if you didn't do Rev, just start it altogether. It's more than just having a job. It's actually developing a career, which leads to investing, of course, in yourself and your family, but also in your community, being able to buy a home, being able to take a vacation, being able to do more than just go to work, which is something that people can appreciate when they're able to do it and actually enjoy your work and feel good about it. I would say to folks out there, if you're not happy, if you're just interested, please reach out, look, go to a website, any of the colleges. We have lots of them everywhere in Virginia. It's one near you. But definitely Reynolds. So the challenges always start with when you get a student that for whatever the reason may be. Maybe they don't meet qualifications, or maybe they just missed something. Maybe it's income, maybe they just moved outside of Virginia, something small, whatever the case may be. I always try to approach working with students with a sense of urgency, remembering that behind each number, each email, there is a person with a family with dreams and goals, and that correspondence and connection, it leads to something else. And the same way I would hope that people would work with me. We are human, we make mistakes and all that kind of thing, but definitely going into it with that mindset. So that is the challenge, that every student that I get, I can't just say, yes, everything worked out perfectly, and then we're starting everything tomorrow at 9 a.m. So, and the reward is when a student sends you an email and, they've been trying to get things in order and they still aren't, and you're working with them too, and they send you an email and just say, and remember now, nothing's worked out yet, but they send you an email saying, thank you for everything you're doing to help me. And I sent an email back saying, okay, wait a minute, let's wait till we get this straight and we can find this funding. And, the student said, that's okay. The fact that you're doing it matters. And, of course, that made my entire life. Those are the things that are rewards. It's about the students, about knowing that whatever you're doing, that you've been able to connect. It's not just that student now, it's that family, that community. You've connected them to another piece in their journey, because, they got a life ahead of them. So I won't be there for the whole time, but I feel good knowing that I've done my part in helping them just advance a little bit further along. And that is the best thing in the world. It really, really is. What I would say, the thing that would help all of us is that we remember, regardless of where we are or what we do, that we all come together for the same goal, which is getting our students to the goals and dreams that they have. Now, sometimes our students may not be clearly focused. They may not be sure. They may need some help understanding what that is for themselves, because nobody has it all figured out. Doesn't matter that you are officially an adult. Our president recently released our plan, and for the next several years, and one of the things that stood out to me, my takeaway, was that everybody that comes to Reynolds, no matter who you are, is going to be successful. I mean, that stood out to me. No matter who you are, we're going to make sure you're successful. Well, we can't say that if we're all in silos doing different things. So I'm a Rev coach, you're a history professor, you're an academic dean, you work in a bookstore, but we all work together. It's about sharing information and knowledge for the betterment of our students. Because when our students are successful, then that means we're meeting our goal, which is being a community college, strengthening our community and serving the greater good, because that is what it is all about. That's what education is about. Reynolds it's a treasure, and it has always been a part of my life in some shape, form, or fashion. And I'm grateful for the opportunities I've had there, and I'm even more grateful to be able to be here and hopefully give back and share with students and the community here what was invested in me.